This is a traditional pedigree of my dog Chaos, and here is the same information presented in a line pedigree format. The line pedigree format is spot on for analyzing animal pedigrees. Before we begin the conversion, here are a few examples of how we use line pedigrees. First, you can color code a particular animal, phenotype, or carrier of a specific gene. Color coding makes them instantly stand out, and this is especially helpful when dealing with complex pedigrees spanning multiple generations. By following the colored lines, you can easily track how a specific trait or genetic variant is passed down throughout the generations. When analyzing bloodlines on a larger scale, line pedigrees allow breeders to visualize the structure of bloodlines and their interactions. We can assess for hybrid vigor, inbreeding, line breeding, and backcrosses. Even without focusing on specific dog names, you can see how the Ruffian and X-pert lines merge. In this case, the key example is White Rock Pixie Afrasia. This combination of distinct bloodlines demonstrates hybrid vigor, often resulting in stronger, healthier dogs with improved genetic diversity. Getting started, we'll label each individual with their unique identification number. This unique number is assigned when they were entered into the database. The first step is labeling the parent-offspring relationships, which is indicated by a line. And we can start building the family tree, start throwing those lines in, and at first, all these dogs, nothing's in common until now. These next set that I'm going to add are actually litter mates. By definition, of course, they have the same parents. Chasque's name is visually present twice here and is a violation of the line pedigree rule. So the correct way to show the relationship is to make two separate lines, one to each of his offspring. And now we'll just delete this redundant information. Just like the sire, American Pride's name is listed twice. Once again, this is in violation of the line pedigree rule, so the correct way to show the relationship is to make two separate lines, one to each of her offspring. Now we can delete this and move on. While we continue working through the pedigree, we'll just start adding all these in. At this point, none of these have anything in common. Until now, we have dealt with dogs that appear twice, but only in the same generation. In this next example, Oxbomber appears twice in the pedigree, but at the third and fifth generation. Now we just need to decide which entry to keep when a name appears in multiple generations. Moving the lineage line to use Oxbomber's appearance at the fifth generation results in a loss of 2 generations of information, effectively erasing details about his ancestry. In comparison, if we move this line to where Oxbomber appears at the top side, but at that third generation, we retain all this additional information. This layout technically doesn't violate any rules, but we can improve on it. It's as simple as moving this one up and in front of the parent. Now, both offspring will be located on one side, while the parents are placed on the opposite. We'll do this whenever it's possible, although it isn't always feasible. Now we can move this whole entire line up to save a bunch of space, and we'll straighten out this a little bit. There's that pretty X pattern now. There are several other dogs that appear more than once in the pedigree. Brown's Tacoma Storm is listed twice. Her name appears twice, but in the same generation, violating the rule that each name should appear only once. To resolve this, we can use multiple lines extending from the single instance of Brown's Tacoma Storm. We can delete the duplicate entry for Brown's Tacoma Storm and any of the redundant ancestor information. Watchet is a dog with a rich history in the Tacoma pedigree, and his influence runs much deeper than this 5 pedigree suggests. In fact, all current Tacoma dogs trace back to Watchet, making him a perfect example of a genetic bottleneck. Just to keep things consistent, this would be the wrong way to show Watchet's offspring. So the correct way to show the relationship is to make 2 separate lines, one to each of his offspring. You already know the drill on how to label Bandit and her offspring. We'll handle this duplication in the usual way. Let's add her offspring, Wooddell Old Soldier, and Woods Tacoma Kate, both of which appear twice in the pedigree. We'll move the son, Wooddell Old Soldier, first. Next, we'll adjust his litter mate, Woods Tacoma Kate. This brother and sister were bred together, which you can appreciate by the X pattern. We'll keep the green color for the progeny. There were no outcrosses that diluted the gene pool. To wrap up the Tacoma influence, we'll label a few more key Tacoma dogs, such as Brown Tacoma Chief, to complete this part of the pedigree analysis. Up to this point, we've primarily discussed Tacoma bloodlines. This section shifts focus to the Ruffian lineage, highlighted in red for identification. White Rock Perry the Fridge, a national specialty winner, along with Chaskey White Rock, Indiana, are sires in the Dam's pedigree. On the sire side, we find Ruffian Hercules of Harween, a highly influential dog. While his bloodline was recently influenced by the X-pert outcross, it did not overpower his strong Ruffian pedigree. I'll cover that in more detail in a separate video, but for now, we can simply refer to him as Ruffian. Hercules was bred to an archer's bitch, Archer's Moncia del CDG, producing several legendary dogs, including White Rock Jet Bomber. White Rock Jet Bomber was then bred to Brown's Tacoma Storm, a pairing that produced Luke's White Rock Ox Bomber, whom we have already discussed. We'll label the rest of these, and they don't have anything in common. Now it's time to add a bit of an artistic touch and adjust the information based on your own specific needs. This approach ensures a streamlined and visually clear pedigree. By doing so, we can bring these pedigrees to life, connecting the past and present while connecting the dogs that have shaped the breed's history.